Hello everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Talks. I'm Adma Jabiju, editor at Abir. And today I'm pleased to speak with Alex Davis, artist, sculptor, and designer, whose work has redefined contemporary Indian aesthetic. Trained in mechanical engineering and advanced design at NID Ahmedabad and Domus Academy Milano, Alex transforms everyday forms, flora, highway fragments, crafts, and industrial surfaces into arresting large scale sculptures and canvases that sit between art and design. His works range from monumental stainless steel florals and installation to the intimate monochrome botanicals, and his work has been shown at major fairs and institutions, both in India and abroad. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for joining us. To start, could you tell us how your fascination with art and design began, and whether there was a defining moment that set you on this path?
Mm, Nothing specific in terms of a defining moment as such. Uh, I realized it out of by eliminating the other choice. In other words, I did engineering because I didn't really think about what I wanted to do at that stage. So managed to get into mechanical engineering. So I've completed it, and that's when I realized, no, that's not my scene. Because in schools, I used to just be a dreamer. Used to be pretty bad in school, and I used to be floating around, bunking classes and floating around, just going into nature, spending a lot of time there, just basically bumming around. And so only after finishing engineering, I realized, okay, that's not my scene at all. So then I got into NIT. I was thinking whether I should get into an architecture course or design course, and I found design more uh, kind of, uh, open-minded. So I joined design at NIT and completed that. Did a bit of practice and then went off to Milan. Did another course there and worked there for some time. Came back, set up my studio, and had a design studio actively running for quite a while. And it took me about 20 years to realize, okay, now that is also not my natural green because uh, what I enjoy doing is art. So for the last 10 to 12 years, my practice completely shifted into art. I don't have any design practice at all. It's purely art practice at this point. So it's kind of a natural, lazy way of moving into a place. That's what happened.
Right. So this is very fascinating to know that there has been not just one particular moment, but a series of ones where you just listen to yourself and kept going.
Uh, I know there are some incidents which is like really keep coming back to me. While I was studying industrial design masters at Domus Academy in Milan, uh, the fairs I went for are the two Venice Biennales, those days, and all the there was a brilliant show by Anish Kapoor, which actually disturbed me because he's one of the people who really got me thinking about what am I doing, what is that I want to be doing. But I never took it seriously. But what I realized is that most of the times I was going to these kind of events. 90% of the events I was going to was art events. So that's when I kind of realized and kind of dismissed it at that point and moved on with my design practice because it invested in so much time and spent so much efforts in studying that. So yeah, that's one of the main things I can think of. Uh, but even in my design practice, while when I was actually uh, taking it seriously, a lot of the work was between art and design. It was not really functional design. It was more of a space between art and design for a long while, till I realized, okay, that's it. Time to move on to what I wanted to do. So that's more like how it happened. Uh, I know there are some incidents which is like really keep coming back to me. While I was studying industrial design masters at Domus Academy in Milan, uh, the fairs I went for are the two Venice Biennales, those days. And all the, there was a brilliant show by Anish Kapoor, which actually disturbed me because he's one of the.
And I just want to move on to your idea of India modern. When you speak of India modern, what specific visual or cultural references from everyday Indian life core is the core of that idea? And
When you're living a culture as vibrant as India, I spent my childhood in Kerala. I did my schoolings in Kerala, and then moved to Karnataka for engineering. Then moved to Ahmedabad for design. Then moved to Delhi for practice and living. I spent the majority of my time in Delhi, of course, and then I moved to Milan for some time, in Italy for some time, and moved back to Delhi. So it's a lot of places, that uh, that you see. And also in Delhi specifically, the reason why I moved to Delhi is because of the closeness to the Himalayas.
so I'm really curious to know how do you want from observing something so ordinary like a dented truck body or a roadside flower to deciding that it belongs in your studio as a candidate for monumental representation? Like, what is the thought process like?
Yeah, like I said, I love road trips. I keep traveling all over the place, given a chance. Uh, I spend a lot of time traveling on the road also. And, so you come across, when it started off, the fascination obviously started off with old trucks, not just the plain graphics, the way the paint is worn out. So layers of paint that's kind of patinated over a long period of time layering. So it's pretty graphic. Plus, of course, the famous graphics are all over. Also, auto rickshaws of Delhi, Chennai, or Bombay, uh, the kind of uh, the seat and the for the Rexine work they do, also the decorations they do. Suppose, for example, if there's a small tear, they do a patchwork, and they kind of repair the whole thing. Also for decoration, they add things. If you look at it, most of the belts like Calcutta, uh, Chennai, Kochi, these are references to fish motifs. They're always a fish form, which will be like a patchwork, which is repairing a. So it's extremely fascinating when you look at all these things. And when you start seeing things, you can't unsee it. And it keeps, increasing. So a hell of a lot of interesting aspects of all these things, which you kind of translate into a series of works. So, which is quite nice to do that.
And as you have mentioned, India is your muse. Like, how can you not inspired by India? You ask. So, would you unpack how different regions and journeys feed distinct strands of your practice rather than a single homogeneous idea of India? Because you come from Kerala and then you have been settled in Delhi.
I could start from the last series that I'm doing. Maybe we'll go backwards. It's better in terms of referencing these geographies. Uh, Currently, I am in the middle of a large series of work called sculptural works called the Valley of Flowers. Obviously inspired, as the name implies, inspired by the valleys of flowers of the Himalayas. We have a World Heritage Valley of Flower one. Plus, we have a lot of unknown beautiful valleys of flowers in the Hamta Valley, in the Miyar Valley, across the Himalayas. So this series is based on that take on tribute to this floral abundance that we have in the mountains. Plus the tradition of using flower in India, we have. I mean, this reference in your. So put together, that whole series is based on this uh, on the floral language. So that's a whole series of works, and those are all sculptural works. Now that is a direct reference to the Himalayas. And the second one, the second last work that I worked on was a series of paintings. Uh, for that, it took me 5 years to collect soil from all over the country, from all parts of the country, and it took me specifically a lot of trips, and it's also an excuse for me to go to the places like Spiti and Ladakh, across Lamayuru, Kaza, Dhankar, Tabo, all these places, a lot of road trips, collecting soils from there. And I made a series of paintings based on that. So the primary medium was earth from these regions, and the series was, the Lama Land series was shown at Exhibit 320 as a solar show. So that's another reference to the painting works using soil. Uh, the highway was an older project. About 15 years back, I did this series called Dented Painted, completely inspired by the highways, the highway culture, uh, which is what the reference you're talking about in terms of the trucks and the autos and that whole series was out of that. It was like it's a show that I had with the Apparao Galleries at the then Lodi Aman. Uh, and then kept showed it at various places. So these are some of the references of uh, how the geographies and how uh, the country inspired me in my works. Just to give you a few examples.
Right, right. Makes sense. Yes. Um, so you call yourself a curator artist, constantly selecting and representing themes. So how does this curatorial mindset shape your studio process from research and editing to conceptual framework?
I think every artist, to an extent, is a curator also, because they're kind of curating an idea, kind of curating a style or a language. So I don't think it's specific to me. Any practicing artist by nature is part curator to bring the whole work together, especially if you're doing one body or series of work. So it's a natural part of being an artist.
So within a series, how do you decide when the theme has been exhausted? And what tells you that the body of work is complete?
Saturation, as you keep working, you know, layer by layer, session by sessions, as you keep progressing at a certain stage, you can feel the saturation building up. And you can feel sense that you can't do much more. And then you keep push it to the limits where it says that's it. There's no more. That's where it stops. So the work tells you that most of the times, all the times, in fact. In my case, so I'm even though you start with a sort of a rough idea of what you want to do, how you want to do, and such, it gets very organic eventually, and then it ends up also very organically like this is it, no more can be done, finish it.
So, something I really notice in your work is the use of unconventional materials like stainless steel or wood or ceramics and stuff like that. So, I'm curious if your training in mechanical engineering and later in product design, does that influence in the way you choose and think through in these materials? And what is your take on this?
No, it doesn't. Uh, it doesn't guide me in choosing the material because of my background. Choosing the material is depending on the kind of work I have to do. So between earth and stainless steel, and sometimes even bronze or plate. Uh, that's not my training is, but my training is really making me comfortable to work with those materials I've chosen. For example, the stainless steel is the hardest material to work with. uh, it's most difficult uh, metal to work with. Unlike, say, for example, bronze or brass, which is much softer relatively, copper, bronze, and brass. Also, the process involved is casting, which is relatively simpler. You make a mold and you get a casting out of that. So once you have a mold, you can keep casting. Whereas the stainless steel work that I do is forging. So every time you make a piece fresh, so you have to hand make those pieces. Every time you have to hand forge those pieces uh, to the required shapes. So it becomes much more difficult to work with, which is also interesting for me because then each work is in a way unique. So it can never be the same because you're making it fresh altogether. Yeah, my training in engineering and design is really helps. It makes me forget the difficulty of material. Get comfortable with using any kind of materials because one is used to that. I've kind of learned all these materials, so it becomes easy for me. Yes.
So I just want to follow with your answer about the steel and how you are comfortable. You have often spoken about bringing spirituality and poetry into a cold industrial material like high-grade stainless steel. So, could you tell us about a specific artwork where you feel that you push the material to its limit?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best example would be my latest series of work, what I said, The Valley of Flowers, which is a rather large sculptural installations. And these are very challenging, technically challenging works. Now, these are achieved by stainless steel, and the quality of the material lends itself to use something like this. One, it is a contemporary material. Stainless steel, the reason why I like it is because it's got a very neutral shade. It doesn't have a tint, unlike bronze, brass, or copper. It does not, it allows you, it's more like a blank canvas to work with. So you can kind of bring in uh, shades, tones, into it. And the second thing is also the way it works, interacts with light. There's a certain luminescence built into the material. Whatever finish, if it's high gloss, then it's reflective. It's like, you know, reflective. Even if it's matte, there is a certain luminescence which comes through when you look at it. So these are the materialistic aspects that I like about it. So that is the materiality which attracts me to stainless steel. Uh, in my other works, Earth kind of brings me down. It's mostly paintings and the kind of series that I worked with. That's got a completely different aspects. It's more sensual than technical. So, Earth by nature, it's a surface of the land, and the narratives are already there built in. So, when you borrow that, you're already standing in the, heavy uh, conceptual uh, body of narratives, which comes from the soil itself, where the soil comes from, and stories of the land, stories of the people, stories of the history of the thing. So you're carrying that. That's a medium we're working with. So that already puts you in a certain conceptual scale to work with. So yeah, different materials have their own different properties, which I kind of use for my works.
So, I one recurring theme in your work are marvelous floral installations and botanical illustration. So, what does botanical illustration mean to you? When did the fascination start with these natural forms?
Okay, so long back, uh, I was in boarding schools in my school days, and from class 5 onwards, and I used to hate it. I used to really hate going to school. So from from the boarding school, when the club, and it was last time I used to bunk classes, spend the time. Our school had a large property, massive acreage of land around it, which had kind of nice forests and streams and all kind of things. So I used to spend the whole day just floating around uh, in the gardens, in the forests, and the orchids of the schoolyard, and come back for lunch and then again skip and go. I used to get caught a lot of the times, I used to get punished for that, but still I used to do that quite a bit, uh, and that perhaps is uh, one of the also my background. My dad was a doctor.
So, looking across your large metal sculptures, what have you learned about yourself and your practice? And where do you see this trajectory leading you next?
That's a very deep question. Uh, you know, what I realized is art. is something which makes you introspect a lot. So as your practice gets serious, you tend to get much more self-inspective, much more kind of self-introspective, uh, because that's a path you have to follow. It's not an external path; it's more of an internal path. So you're kind of following that grain which is already built into you. So where does one go with this? One has to see. Uh, I mean, it just you can't predict it. It's something to just to see over a period of time. I hope that answers roughly the question.
Uh, so now we are sort of coming to the end of this conversation. And I really want to know what is an advice you would give to a young person who wants to be an artist, who wants to find their voice in the artistic space? What is something you hope you would have known when you were a younger artist? What is an advice, if there is an advice you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah, I'm not the guy to give advice very much, but my advice, if I have to give, would be that don't listen to anybody, because this is not. If you want to really practice art, you can only listen to yourself. Obviously, there could be a lot of inputs from all kinds of sources, but listening to advice, no, I don't think that's going to help you at all. Uh, so just don't listen.
Right. So, thank you so much for your time and the way which you answered our questions. I really hope you had a good time talking to me. Something I really liked about the conversation is ki, your answer, you have a clarity on what you, who you are, and what your artistic practice is, and you have been very clear about it and about what you are and what you are not. And I really think for young people that sort of clarity, aspiring for that clarity, is really, really important. And thank you so much for joining us for Tuesday Talks, presented by Abir. It's such a pleasure to have you.